Hi, Jim here again. It's middle of May. We've got 90-degree temperatures outside, but it's nice and cool inside. And so a number of people have asked for an update. And first of all, asked about my good friend Ray. He is doing better. He's completed some radiation treatments now and just waiting for full recovery. So thank you for asking. Much appreciated. And so he's been taking care of his tanks one at a time. Not much energy going through those treatments, but doing better. Thank you for asking, as I said. And so we have a couple of quick updates. I'm going to make this short. And basically, we have a Madagascar lace plant here, which got over at Hidden Reef over in Bensalem. And it was a nice bulb of a plant with a couple of good-looking leaves on it. And right now I've counted, and there are at least 8 leaves, and you can see the size of them here. This tank is about, I'm going to say 36 inches high. Could be wrong on that. And they easily would get up to about this high if they were stretched out full height. So we'll get a couple close-ups of them. The banana plants are doing well, as you see. And also the corkscrew balasinaria. Found some of those the other day at a place called the Fish Factory over in Bensalem, Pennsylvania, just over the other side of the bridge from where we live here. And so I was able to pick up 4 of them. It just bothers me. You used to be able to buy those 10 for $1, 12 for $1. Now, of course, they're $1.49 a piece. So certainly things have changed in the last, now I think about it, the last half a century from when they were 12 for $1. But anyway, I love those plants, and I'll show you some close-ups. Here's the close-ups of that Madagascar lace plant, and as you can see, some of those leaves are really gorgeous. I counted them the other day. There's 7 or 8 of them, and they're all doing very well. They've easily quadrupled in size since I brought this one home. And this tank does well with the plants. The bow tank, not so much. I don't know what's going on over there, but plants don't seem to be growing like they are here. And then just toward the left you have that corkscrew balasinaria I was just talking about. And I've got about 8 of those plants now. And I bought those 4, I ended up with 6. And I had 2 small ones in there already. And I'm just fascinated with that particular plant. It goes back to my youth. I once had a 10-gallon tank that they just did so well in. They filled the tank. And the substrate in that tank, which was just sand, was carpeted with the roots. You could not pull a single plant out without taking up the whole base of the tank, and never had that good fortune yet again. But taking that story, going back again to that Madagascar lace plant, when I was down in Richmond, Virginia, back in, let's see, this would have been the early 1970s, I had never seen a real Madagascar lace plant. I only seen it in books and was fascinated with it. And our local fish store actually got one in. And I remember buying it at the time. It was astronomical for $5.98 or something like that. And I had a tall tank like this. In fact, it was the tank you've seen in some of our previous updates from Ray's tanks. He still has that 50-gallon stainless steel asphalt edging tank. That tank, which was equally as high as this one, and that Madagascar lace plant just took off like you wouldn't believe, to the point where each of these leaves that you're looking at here grew to the top of the tank. And if I recall correctly, and this goes back 50 years ago now, it was at least 20 leaves, and they were all full leaves up to the top. Loved it, and it did very well for quite a bit of time. And then as these plants are known to cycle through, it died. And I followed the instructions in the book and put that Madagascar lace plant in the bulb without its leaves in the refrigerator. and sent it through a 6-month winter cycle, as they called it, and it never came back. And so I was very disappointed. But there was something with the water down there, because I was just describing to my other fish friend, my sister Maggie, a story from back then. I had a tall 20-gallon tank in my office, and it had some window light, and again the water must have been just right, because we had water sprite, and water sprite's always been a good plant, but it tends to fall apart. Certainly it does for Ray and me, and so it's never been too good long term. Well, down there it thrived, and it filled up the tank with water sprite plants. And my brother John, who was raising angelfish at the time up in New Jersey, we were down in Richmond, Virginia, I would take a bucket and take one of those water wisteria plants, and it would fill the bucket. That's how big it was. And I would take it up to him, and over time it would wither and get straggly and so forth for him. And I would replace it with another one, because by the time I came up again 6 months later, I had another plant just as big as the first one. And so we have the corkscrew vallisneria. You see the banana plants on either side there, doing well. And we've got a couple other Amazon type plants doing well. This one's had a couple of babies. You see the babies down in the front there that I've separated and planted. And over here we did have the dwarf lily. But down at the base of it, you can see we've got, again, some more of those baby plants doing well. Nothing new with the fish in here, except you won't see him because he's hiding in the back right now, but I've got one of the big angels in here. Maybe he's coming out. I'll see here. He was getting picked on in the other tank of angels. They've got about 6 or 7 angels over there. And finally I just said, well, let me put him over here and see what happens. And he's been doing just fine. And he's way up in the back there. I doubt if you can see him, but let me zoom in a little bit and see if we can show you where he is. He's facing us forward, and not easy to see him back there. Anyway, a lot of the babies growing up into teenagers now here, and the plants seem to do reasonably well here, as you can see. And again, my wife is the gardener in terms of arranging them, although this is more my type right now. It's sort of haphazard as opposed to nicely arranged, but you do get a sense of how well the fish are doing schooling around these plants. And so that's an update from the corner tank. Not much to be said for the others. I did replace the betta in this tank. You saw up front the red betta. I don't know where he is now. With the had a nice blue one that just got to the point where he wouldn't do anything except hang around down the bottom, laying on the side, and finally had to move him out the other day. And this red one was introduced, nice young one. Hidden Reef has beautiful bettas, and they're never very expensive. Oh, here comes the angel. There you go. And so you get some sense of what's going on back there. Those pearl gouramis are still doing well. All 3 of them are still doing just fine here. And the black mollies, of course, being the babies from the parents from the office tank, doing well in here. And after going through a period of time where I couldn't find swordtails, I finally built up a collection. Probably we got about 5 or 6 pair of swordtails between this tank. There's a red tuxedo sword. There goes a female red velvet sword. You can see the male of the tuxedo sword right down here. Yeah. And in the other tank now, the office tank has a couple, it has those calico, not calico, yeah, calico I guess it is, sword pair, and also a tuxedo sword pair. So we probably have a 5 pair of swordtails. They tend to keep together, and I've really come to enjoy them now that I've been able to find them again. I don't know what happened there. For a couple of years it's like you couldn't find them anyplace. There's the brick red sword right in front of us here. And the neons, they aren't schooling tight anymore, so I don't know how many there are. There's still quite a few of them. I haven't had any dead fish in this tank, so that hasn't been an issue. So there's still a good-sized school of them here, and I feed them on the frozen baby brine shrimp. And then down here, remember we had the baby catfish, and maybe you can see one of them that's grown up a little bit here now. It just went in the base of that banana plant. See if it comes back out this way or not. So we've lost count of babies in here of the catfish. At one point in time we did figure we had 6 of them. And this, you can see the one just coming out to the front of that banana plant now, just to the left of it, right? And that's one of the babies grown up to what I would consider not full adult, certainly, but no longer a baby. And that's the salt and pepper cories that we've talked about in the past. So anyway, my pride and joy is, like I said, a Madagascar lace plant. They call it the queen of aquarium plants, and I certainly would agree with that. And so that's my update. Hope it's short, and hope you're doing well. And again, thanks for your concerns about Ray. He certainly does appreciate the comments that you've left here on these Facebook videos, and I pass them along to him so he sees your comments. Oh, there's that betta over in the corner here. Let me see if I can capture it for you. And it's down, oops, no, it's disappearing behind the structure back there. Anyway, so much for our May update of the corner pie-shaped tank. Just to give you a quick update on the bow tank, as I call it, as opposed to the corner tank, which also has a bow shape to it. The plants here not doing as well. Don't know why. I keep trimming them to get rid of some of the dead leaves. And this is mainly an angel food, listen to me, not angel food cake, an angel tank. And like I say, we took the biggest one out of this tank and put them over in that corner tank. And so we've got 3 black angels. We've got a nice blue betta just going off in the background there. And you can see 2 of the larger striped angels, and then a smaller one we just added recently for a Mother's Day gift to my wife, along with a nice school of serpe. I just went to the back of the tank. Thank you, serpe, for not oh, here we go. And so they've been there a long while. They do well. The zebras up toward the top, there's a school of 10 of them that were just recently added. They were only 79 cents at the Hidden Reef, and so I wanted some more fish for this tank. But you can see the serpe coming across the center there. And they tend to school pretty well. But meanwhile, the angels seem to be they were hiding behind one of the filters back when the big one was in there, and yet they picked on him, so I don't know what that was all about. And so we have basically the school of them here, as you can see, and nice long fins on the black one right in the front there. And there's 3 of the black angels. One is different in terms of that long finnage. And then the one that one is next to has got nice long veil tail fins, as opposed to the angel to the right, which has what I would expect to be the normal finnage. And then there's one more of the typically striped angels right in the center now, smaller, but got the same long finnage. That's why I couldn't resist and picked them up when I had the opportunity last week. Here come the serpe again. And now they're running back. I don't know why they go running back the other way, but anyway, I love when the fish do school like that. Ray has a lot more schooling type tanks set up, especially with his tiger barbs. They look gorgeous going back and forth. But anyway, that's where this tank is at this point. Not something to be too proud of in terms of its plantings, but keep adding a couple more plants. And it's funny when you go back and look at videos from the past, how different these tanks look from one time to the next. So anyway, this is it for that. And of course, no update would be complete without at least a shot of the office tank. And the two pair of sword tails that I mentioned may be coming into play. There they come in the center. There's the male, calico I call it, and there's the female. And still a lot of black mollies in here, a lot of young ones. And also have another new betta in here. I don't know if you'll see him or not. He was, oh, there he is. He's sort of back toward the center there someplace. And sort of an orangish color. The Hidden Reef always has beautiful selection of bettas. And I have to admit there was one there that I almost picked up. I didn't have any more tanks to put a betta in without doubling up, and I didn't want to do that. So anyway, the betta there was, oh, such gorgeous red fins and sort of pink reddish body. It was gorgeous, that feathered fin type thing, and it wasn't very expensive over there. They don't get exorbitant with their pricing, and so it's very easy to get carried away with bettas there if you have the tank space to put them in. And they're all right there at the front register, so you can't come in without seeing them, and you can't leave without at least having the opportunity to pick a bowl or two of them up if you're into that. So, and again, this tank tends to take care of itself. I actually feed these 3 times a day. The other tanks get fed maybe once a day, and they do fairly well, and certainly is entertainment as I sit here and work at my desk. And like I said, you can see the swordtails here, 2 pair. There's the tuxedo ones coming around right now. Whoops, not going to come all the way around. But got a couple neons in here, a couple cardinals I think. Not sure which it is right now. And a couple catfish, the betta, and mostly the black mollies that keep repopulating. There's the swordtails I was telling you about. And here comes the tuxedo sword behind the leaf back there. Anyway, so that's just a quick update on what's going on here. Nothing spectacular. There's quite a variety of fish in this tank, and they seem to do well. I would have to agree that it's overcrowded, but we're not suffering because of it.